Golf Central. Brought to you by Titleist.
Dustin Johnson is our FedEx Cup points leader, fresh off his win last week in New York. DJ finished tied for 8th in this tournament last year, 6th PGA Tour win since 2008, second most to Tiger. Jordan Spieth, number 2 in the FedEx Cup points, seeking his second FedEx Cup title. He won it in 2015. After one event, Jordan was second in points that year as well, eventually tracked down and passed Jason Day. Rory McIlroy won this event and the FedEx Cup last year, the only 2 defending FedEx Cup champions that even made it to the Tour Championship the following year. Snedeker in 2012, Jordan last year. McIlroy a staggering 111 birdies and eagles at TPC Boston, more than anyone else since 2012. And Ricky Fowler, he won this event a couple years ago. He looks to jumpstart his playoffs this week in Beantown. And with that, we welcome you into Golf Central. Ryan Burr along with you this evening. Full highlights from the Web.com Tour Finals, plus a preview of the LPGA live from Portland. But we begin with the FedEx Cup playoffs and the Dell Technologies Championship from TPC Boston. Take a look at the current top 10 in the points heading into tomorrow's opening round. Can anyone slow down Dustin Johnson? Looked incredible, completely back in form as he was able to take down Jordan Spieth. There you have maybe the player of the year on the PGA Tour, Justin Thomas sitting there at third, Hideki, John Rahm, Ricky Fowler, Koepka, Berger, Hoffman, and Vegas to round out your form. Together again, number 1 and number 2 in the points, Dustin Johnson and Jordan Spieth. What will they do for an encore after their playoff in the playoffs? For more, we head live to Boston and Heather Cox.
Ryan, like you mentioned, Dustin Johnson now has the lead in FedEx Cup playoff standings thanks to that win in the playoff over Jordan Spieth on Sunday at the Northern Trust. Now today, Dustin Johnson said all phases of his game are as good right now as they have been all season. And don't forget, Dustin Johnson won 3 consecutive starts during a stretch this season, which led to the question, does he believe that anybody can run the table in all 4 playoff events?
Can't win them all if you don't win the first one, right? So, I mean, yeah, it's definitely possible. Is it going to happen? I have no idea. I'd love to say, yeah, I'm going to win all 4, but the odds are not in my favor. And, you know, for me, winning last week's big because it, pretty much I think I'm probably guaranteed to be in the top 5 going into Atlanta, which is where, you want to be, is in that top 5 going into Atlanta, because then, you win the tournament, you win the FedEx Cup championship. So, that's the biggest thing for me. So now I'm looking, obviously this week's another big week because I can, I want to play really well. I feel like the game's in really good form. I finally feel like I'm swinging really well. I'm doing everything very well right now. So, which is what I'm trying to do leading into Atlanta.
So yes, DJ did beat Jordan Spieth in that playoff, and Jordan Spieth today was very upfront about putting it behind him, putting Sunday away and moving on, but said at the same time, I'm going to take those lessons I learned on Sunday and use them as fuel and motivation throughout these playoffs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I went up against another guy I consider the best in the world, and we had a good battle. And it went his way. I think there's a couple times he's battled against me, he wished it went his way, and this is one that I wish went my way. So in the course of a career, be a part of a few battles like that, and I've seemed to, the only 2 guys I've really battled a lot with are Henrik and Dustin, guys multiple times I've battled with. So I was over it that night. I was in a good position to win, and certainly in a good position through the beginning of the round, but tournaments take place over 72 or sometimes 73 holes, and whoever has a lower score wins. So it's hard on a tough golf course to compete with 5 birdies and no bogeys. I think we did a really good job coming down the stretch of giving myself opportunities, and a couple putts just didn't go.
And tonight, Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas are having some fun, actually heading to Gillette Stadium. It's just about 10 miles down the road. They're going to watch the Patriots as they host the Giants tonight. Jordan and Justin saying they'll probably go down on the field for a pregame, then watch the first half, and then head home to prepare for an early tee time tomorrow. The two both tee off at 9:15 tomorrow morning. Ryan?
Thanks so much, Heather. So indeed, we will see the top three in the standings. That is Dustin Johnson, Jordan Spieth, and we'll add Justin Thomas into the mix. He, of course, 4 PGA Tour wins this wraparound season and a major championship. So they are the three at 9:15. But fresh off of what happened just a few days ago and the playoffs between Dustin Johnson and Jordan Spieth, it begs the question right now, is there any doubt, Billy, that we're talking about the two best players in the world right now, Dustin Johnson and Jordan Spieth?
Well, you would certainly think that with the way that they played and the way that they separated themselves from the field last week. And you look at Justin Thomas, yes, he had a top 10. He didn't have his best stuff by his own admission, but he was able to produce a score. I think this week is really going to tell us a lot where the top 5 are. And when you look at Justin Thomas, he dearly wants to play well. He's probably the leader in Player of the Year right now, but you look at what Dustin and Jordan do. These are two players that are very much into the analytics of the game. When you start looking at Dustin Johnson, his wedge play with the track, man, what he has done has just been absolutely perfect. And then we listened to Jordan with the way that he goes about a golf course, and he's very analytical. But this is where Dustin Johnson has made the biggest strides. It's with the wedge. This is in regulation. Had to lay up after driving it into the rough, but then the drive, we all know that he can carry a 305 in the air, but then under the pressure to go ahead and be totally reliant on your wedge play, knowing the spin, I just think is so much of a value to Dustin Johnson in getting the job done and where he is. And that's why I think he's the guy that can dominate because of his wedge play.
And at times he has dominated this year. Of course, won the 3 in a row.
Correct.
Got hurt just before the Masters and has kind of been silent. We'll see if this is a reemergence. Interesting, he was asked the question, can he win 4 in a row? He's won 4 the entire year. 4 in a row, that might be a...
Yeah, he and Justin Thomas, 4 all year. Can you win 4 in a row? Yeah.
That is a tough ask, but we will indeed find out. Certainly, we hope for the same kind of drama we saw last week. Our coverage of the Dell Technology Championship begins Friday, 2 p.m., continues Sunday at 3 on NBC. And how's this for a little more drama? Tiger Woods heading to Twitter and T-Dub back out on the golf course, Billy. That's great news.
Well, that's great news for the game and great news for the PGA Tour, and just good to see. Just to be able to put the ball in motion, make a swing, and you know, you can't tell a whole lot with that little pitch shot right there, but the fact that he's back out is huge.
Well, it's August 31st, so we'll go ahead and think about September 31st, October 31st, November 31st. Hey, there's something in December we might see Tiger Woods like we did last year. That would be something if we see him again in the Bahamas. Still to come, Keith Mitchell had a birdie putt on the last hole last week to earn his tour card. Wasn't able to convert. He's playing well again this week in the start of the Web.com Tour Finals. Plus, Rory McIlroy, Ricky Fowler, they've both won at TPC Boston in the last 2 years. We hear from both on getting another victory and getting back into the mix in the playoffs.
Golf Central is brought to you by the new Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1X. Choose the best for your game. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.